Malin was saying, you realise how fast you go because you're going through. Well, you go full bar, and then there's this tendril, you just smash through it. Yeah. And it's a really cool feeling when you're around cloud and
you get bits coming through.
Bits coming through, and you're just like, oh, this is awesome. Smash it through it. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Andre, and I'm really excited to be here today with my good friend Theo Warden, which just won the European Paragliding Championships, which is awesome. But before we go into that, I thought it'd be cool to, I know quite a bit about you. We kind of learned to fly together, and I thought it'd be interesting to go back.
Sure.
Forget about the now and go back to when you started, which was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
How old were you then?
Well, when I started.
Yeah.
So I was actually started learning just a few days after I turned 14.
Okay. Is that like a legal limit, or was it just when?
I'm not too sure about the legality, but I think it was just the BHPA. They decided to change their minimum age from 16 to 14.
Okay.
And when my dad found out, I thought, man, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, because you and your dad learned, I think a few months before me, but you learned together. Was it his idea, your idea, or how did you come to know about paragliding? Because for me, it was by chance, just walking around the peaks.
Well, I think it all started for me. Back when I was like a real small kid, we were just walking along Stanage, and you just saw a paraglider in the sky soaring along.
So it was the same as me, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and you wave at them, and then they flat the brakes and wave back. Yes, and then after that, I just wanted to give it a go. Yeah. I kind of forgot about it for a while, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's my dad who started a year before me, actually.
Oh, so you didn't start at the same time?
Yeah, I started about a year before. I got qualified, and then helped me out the next year. But so he started, and his idea was to actually fly and learn with my mum.
Right.
But she decided it wasn't really for her.
Yeah.
So once all my sisters had left the house, he decided that he just wanted to go for it. Took it up, went to Airways. Went to Fly Spain. Took it up and really enjoyed it. It's just been flying ever since.
Yeah. So obviously for you, usually people have to convince their parents that it's okay to fly. In your case, it was almost like, well, if dad's doing it, I can do it.
Yeah, exactly. It was, I remember I got this really shitty job in a Chinese restaurant.
Right.
Just trying to get some money.
So you at 14?
It was a little bit shady.
Because I got some jobs when I was young as well. It was the same thing. It was like, can I do this? Can I not do this?
Yeah, exactly. But it was, I can't actually believe how much I was getting paid. It was like £6.50 an hour. So it was really...
minimum wage.
Well, for someone that... Yeah, anyway.
It's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, for someone my age who had... It was just like kind of income that I could spend on gliders and paragliding and learning.
Yeah.
It was perfect because I didn't really have anything else to spend money on.
Yeah.
Or I need to spend money on. So once I had that job, I started paying my dad back, and then I got to get some kit, start learning. Yeah, man, I can remember the first time I was in Airways. I was just in this it's like Mojo 4, like one of the borrowed harnesses and helmets, and just like shaking. And all they were going to do was take me up to 20 feet, straight and level, and drop me straight back down. But when you're actually up there, it feels way higher than it actually is.
Yeah, because it was a bit odd for us because we learned on Thoe, isn't it? So there's a winch on one side of the airfield, and you were on the other side, and you get pulled. But actually, to start with, if you make a mistake, they just take the tension on, and you end up floating down. So,
exactly.
But I remember exactly the same thing for me. It was like, make it, and then you start going higher and higher, and you're like, and you go to hill, and it's a completely different scenario. So we learned the same place, kind of like around the same time. And then you had to do the same thing as me with hill conversion. Yeah. How'd that go? And is there any interesting stories there? Yeah.
So I actually went out with Judy Ledden. She took me and I think it's 2 others or 3 others to the Isle of Man. Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't actually know the Isle of Man was any good for flying. I'm not too sure it actually is, but it felt really fun. It had a little bit of coastal, a little bit of mountainous. Yeah. So I just went with Judy's family. We did the conversion with her, and then managed to come back and did a few flights in the Peak District first. And
So do you think that sort of thing was quite good to like get to know Judy and Chris a bit better? Because they're one of your sponsors now, right? The school that we learned at.
Yeah, so Airways Air Sports are really, really helpful to me.
Yeah.
They help me out with kit, and I think Judy's the best for just psychology, and like you can ask her anything, she always has an answer.
Yeah.
And is always the right answer. Like she always knows what to say to make you feel better.
Yeah, I was going to say for those who don't know, like Judy has. I'll only say this, she's done a lot in the free flying world that I can't even think about all of the list of amazing things she's done. But it's crazy. check Judy Ledden out because she's awesome. I loved her as a teacher as well, as an instructor. So then you get your hill conversion, you start flying around on your own, sort of thing, around the hills of the peaks and beyond. How was those first year, 2 years? How do you? Because then at some point you got into cross country. How did you find that transition?
I honestly, it's quite hard to remember. I remember the first time I properly got high was on Rush Up. Mm-hmm. And I was just a complete noob. I think a few people ended up taking off and going cross country. Mm-hmm. But it was one of those days where there's just lift everywhere. There were perfect cumulus. Yeah. I actually got to base. It was a bit crazy. Right. My dad was standing on the ground, looking up at me, and kind of like we had a little bit of radio dialogue going on. And I just kind of flew up from the hill, and then eventually I kind of just carried on going up and up. I've never had a day like that.
Without turning?
Without turning. I just kept on going up and up. I didn't turn once, and I got to base. I was like, that was one of the most magical things. I've never had that in my life, apart from that one time. Yeah. Awesome. So
what time of the day it was? Do you remember?
I'm not too sure. It was definitely summertime, and I was on this big Bolero for just super floaty all the way to base. Yeah,
I think the first time I remember proper meeting you and your dad was when we were flying at the coast with Laurie.
Oh yeah.
And I was on a really, really old draggy Mojo, and I couldn't take off. And you were having a great time on your Atlas, and I was like, God damn it, he's really skinny. How come he's going forward?
Yeah.
But obviously, you knew a lot that I didn't at that time. Cool. So.
It's fun.
So then, eventually, you got into cross country. What were your first few flights like, and what drew you to it? Because basically, competitions is cross country on steroids, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the faster version. Yeah. So. First time, I think it was actually on Nîmes. We had a little bit of a competition between me and my dad because we got into going over the back of the hill of the cross country together. I remember I was quite jealous because I was at school and he would go out flying without me.
Oh right, yeah.
And he'd be like, I did 7k today, and then no, it's 10k. His first cross country was 10k.
Which is basically base and glide, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's
amazing the first time you do it.
Exactly, back then it's like, well, you can travel distance on a paraglider. It's like. Yeah. Ridiculous. So he went up, did 10k. I went out on a weekend, like a few weekends later. Mm-hmm. Managed to go up to Eamon, get up 3,000 feet, and then I glided 7k into the next valley, and that was like, my big milestone. Yeah. And then just kind of like, really, really small steps. Mm-hmm. Like it took quite a long time to get the feeling of thermaling and actually being able to connect the dots. Mm-hmm. And actually do a successful cross country. My first one was in Stanage, actually with my dad. That was really, really quite, a really fun experience.
Because you're doing it together,
Exactly, something we could share. And we took off, we thermaled up, I think pretty much all the way to base, and then we just went for it. And I think we were in the air for maybe 2.5 hours, which might have been a personal best at the time. Yeah. And it felt like we were going for absolutely miles. So scenery that I've never seen before. Yeah. You got Sheffield. You got.
Yeah, I was going to say from Stanage you go pretty much, Sheffield and stuff. Yeah. The views look amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. Then we carried on. I think we ended up getting to the edge of some kind of airspace. We weren't too clued up at the time, so I think it's probably the best that we landed early. Yeah. It ended up being only 30k.
Okay, so you landed on this or that. The close side or the far side of Sheffield, or maybe sideways?
It was pretty much sideways. Yeah. I think it was,
on the north side kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was pretty mad. It felt like we were in the air for ages, and getting up to Cloudbase, that's just a ridiculous feeling. You're looking down, there's nothing supporting you, you're looking up, and that's all that's keeping you in the sky.
Yeah. And sometimes, especially because we have a fair amount of air traffic here, sometimes in G-class airspace, you see like helicopters and little planes going underneath you, and you're like,
it doesn't feel right. Yeah. It's like, should I really be here?
Yeah. So, did you? Because if we do the math, this has been 5 years, right, since you started till now. So you had to fly a lot to get to where you were now. So did you fly quite a lot in the first few years, or do you remember?
Yeah.
Probably maybe you have a logbook or something, but how much did you fly in that first year, second year?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'll have to get back to
still at school and stuff.
Yeah, exactly, and that was the main thing that was kind of not getting in the way, because summer holidays were long and awesome. But yeah, when I was in school, it was quite frustrating because I'd constantly be looking out the window and knowing it's flyable, it's kind of destroys you. It's kind of like being at work and knowing it's flyable. So yeah, when I got the chance to get out of school for a summer holiday, it was just all flying. My whole kind of like.
So would you fly 100, 200 hours in the summer, sort of thing?
Maybe 100 hours in the summer.
Yeah.
Back in the early days, I'm not too sure because I was kind of doing shorter flights. It wasn't.
Yeah, you don't rack up as many hours, but you have more flights.
Exactly. So a bit shorter and you get a bit tired easily. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'll check my logbook and let you know. I'm actually interested now.
Yeah. Do you know how many hours you have like till now, or do you stop counting after a certain amount?
No, I still have a logbook. I kind of do it per season now. I kind of just get it all off my instrument. And
yeah, it's easier. Yeah.
I think it's actually it's like 800 to 1,000.
In total.
So
if you were you'd flying a lot more now, but if you had to average it, that's a good 5 years on 200 hours a year or so.
Yeah.
Which is, you'd need a lot of hours to get to where you are and get the experience.
Yeah, I think in Colombia for the super final, we went for a month and we got about 90 to 100 hours in just 1 month.
So with all that, it seems like you ended up flying quite a lot of wings. Do you remember every wing that you've flown?
I think so. I think it started off with my dad's old Bolero 4. I was a little bit of a gin fanboy for a little bit. I had my Verso 2, pack it all the way into a neat little box. And then I had the Atlas.
I think that's when I met you. You were flying the red Atlas, right?
That's the one, yeah. Flying the Atlas. Then I managed to get onto the Nova Juniors team. I was flying a Mentor 4. That was really fun. Yeah, super safe and nice to fly. Feels good. That's why I did the 200k on. Had a bit of a jump onto the next one, so I went from an EMB to a two-liner END.
The Xeno, right?
The Peak 4.
Oh, the Peak 4, yeah, that's true.
But it was a baby two-liner, so I'm not recommending anybody else does it because it was a bit of a step, but it felt right at the time. And then I've had the Xeno, which was it's still probably my favourite wing. That's just such a beast. It handles like a baby. It handles like a toy. Just like whip around in the thermals. That was my favourite wing to date. And then you've got the efficiency of the Enzo. That's the wing I'm flying at the moment. It's a 3.
The 3, yeah.
And that, I think it's got the playfulness of the Xeno. It's a bit more to handle with the higher aspect ratio and the speed. It's a little bit faster. But it just feels crazy efficient when you're in the thermals. You can just carve them up. Yeah, it's just. And
obviously, you've flown a lot of other wings that weren't for that you didn't know, didn't have for such a length of time, like the Emily and.
Yeah. So I flew the edgy Emily for a little bit. That's amazing. Any acro wing, you're just gonna have a good time because it's just so nippy and whippy. Yeah.
Also, I think I saw something on Facebook about Helen talking a little bit about you and her experience with you, and talking about a certain triangle from Bradwell.
Oh, really?
Which I don't know about. Can you tell me about that? Because that was potentially still early on your cross-country career.
I haven't actually seen Helen's post yet. I think the one she's talking about is
the big one.
It wasn't actually that big. Oh, maybe it was.
It was, wasn't it?
It was a triangle. Is it now on return?
I don't know.
I remember.
But it was something about the breaking the Bradwell site record or something. Maybe it wasn't a triangle.
Okay, I'm not too sure.
Oh, you lost count of all the awesome flights.
No, I remember the individual. I just can't remember. I remember the details of one. Me and Helen were on Mantor.
Yeah.
And we just pushed into wind. And we did this for about 15k. And I was like properly pimping back there, and I had no idea what I was doing.
Just following
I was just following Helen because she is just a sky god.
Yeah.
So she was there. I was there on my little Atlas or Mentor, sure. Yeah. And we just went together 50k and then all the way back. I think there's some kind of weird convergence, but man, that was proper special. Being able to go into wind and then all the way back.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. If you had to you know, from the past till now, if you had to pick two, you know, flights, one that was amazing, really good, maybe one of the early ones, and another one that was scary or something that you don't want to do again, what's the first ones come to mind from amazing and awful?
I'm not too sure. I think some of my best flights have been in the competitions.
Okay.
Just because they've, if you have a really good day and you're properly on it and you're riding with the lead gaggle, and then you land and everyone's buzzing, that's just like
it's like a big group experience, because in the end, you know, they're all friends, sort of thing.
Exactly, and they've all got the same passion. It's perfect.
Mm.
And that's always been the best thing. I think flying is quite social for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I went on an XC now on my own, I might end up getting a little bit bored.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got like 2 or 3 friends with you, you're all pushing hard.
There's people to look at, making decisions. You know, sometimes you're low, sometimes they're low, and there's things to keep you entertained.
Exactly, and that's really what gets me going, like having a good time. Yeah.
What about? I mean, I take it you haven't had any, you know, serious accidents so far. You still seem to be in one piece.
Yeah.
Have you had any difficult experiences? I remember a tricky one. With when we were on the Gavin McClurg mountain thing last year.
Yeah.
That was a bit sketchy with a lot of wind. But is any experiences that you've had that you thought, must remember not to do that again?
I think in the UK I get used to wind. That's not really that scary anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The one that really comes to mind, I've not really had a huge amount of scary experiences, but the one that does come to mind is it's a practice task with the BPRA in St Andre.
Mm-hmm.
We're all full barring it along the takeoff ridge to get to the last.
Quite low.
Yeah, quite low. Well, I was a bit higher, maybe about 100 meters above the hill.
Mm-hmm.
Full barring it to get to the end, to get the turn point, to get to the last kind of cylinder on the other side of St Andre. So we were going really fast, proper pushing it, and then I came off bar because we were about to go into a climb, and I realised that kind of one side was stuck on.
Oh, because these are like ratcheting pulleys.
It wasn't actually pulleys. The way I attached my speed bar lines to my wing, this was a Xeno at the time.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of a nut. It's like a lark's foot on the riser, and then it not.
Oh, and it went through the pulley and then wouldn't come out.
Yeah, so it went into the harness and then wouldn't come out.
Right.
So that was really scary. So I was trying to get it off.
And it was asymmetric as well because it was only on one side.
Exactly. So it happened on, say, my left. I tried to pull the thing out while I was on bar, and then I just couldn't get it. So I came off completely out of fucking massive asymmetric.
On that side.
On the left side, but I ended up turning right.
Right.
Which is really weird. Well, something weird happened. Maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, but
yeah.
I was about to start kind of turning into an rotation. I'm actually yank it out with both my hands in.
Yeah,
carry on
to get out of it. Yeah, I suppose the really scary situation on that is where there's something physically wrong with the glider that if you're not able to sort it out, then even doesn't matter as good as you are, you're not going to be able to recover it. Like if a line pings off, the line's gone, you can't reattach it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I've never really had any scary experiences whilst flying 2 liners. I've had my Enzo and my Xeno, my Enzo 3 and my Xeno, and I've not had like any scary collapses. I've been on full bar and taken a 50%, and it just doesn't turn; it just carries on going straight. I think.
Would you say that though, if you were to be like self-critical, would you say that you actually do a lot of active flying for that to happen, and maybe you weight shifted straight away, and that's why? Because I did an SIV recently, and I found the same thing, that actually I was doing some inputs that were not what we're trying to do, because we're trying to get an auto rotation going. But even if you just put a little bit of a brake and weight shift to the right, to the correct side, it actually just won't turn at all.
Yeah.
So
it's
probably because you're doing a lot of work that you don't realise that you find that is first nature.
Yeah, maybe
second nature.
Yeah.
At this point,
maybe. Yeah, it's interesting to think about, but I think like you say, everything can go wrong if you do something. If you put too much input in, don't do enough, it can go a bit hairy. But I think these wings are just so safe these days, and they've really come on. And if you fly them right, I think they're pretty safe. Yeah. And amazing to fly. They're so fast, full gas. It's awesome.
Yeah. So so then you've done some big cross countries. What was your current longest flight in terms of distance? Would you say?
Still the 200k on the Mentor 4 in
really?
Yeah, when I was 16.
Yeah. Was that from Bradwell? Or
in Milk Hill.
Milk Hill.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a really fun flight. Yeah.
So from there, then at some point you started doing competitions. What was your first competition?
I think it was the same year I did the 200k. I was 16, flying my Mentor 4, and took part in the St Andre, the British Championships in St Andre.
Okay.
And
for that you need to do well in the league, which you're probably doing with your cross country flights, and that's how you get to participate in that. Is that right? Because I don't know a lot about competition, so I'm going to be asking you some questions about that.
I think I'm pretty bad to ask as well. I think I'm just
you're just going with it.
Going with it and hoping that I can get into these different competitions. But yeah, I think the Brits is based on league points, and also you can use other competition results if you're already in the loop.
But if you're getting in, then you would use that.
It's the league. So yeah, and I don't think I didn't apply to get in from the beginning. I think I went out there for a different reason, and I was just there and I asked for a spot, and then Guy Anderson managed to get me into the comp because somebody hadn't turned up or something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing I always find, but both of the British team, British paragliders in general, but also abroad, is that it just feels really nice. It's a nice, closely knit family, isn't it? It's almost like if you don't know someone, you've probably seen their name online or something, and then you end up meeting them, and everyone's really nice.
They really are. You can't really have a dick in paragliding, because if you're a dick, then you're not going to get along with everybody else.
Yeah. I think for some reason, you see it you hear it on Gavin's podcast as well. Even the most accomplished pilots, everyone's really humble, and it's just a pleasure. One of the big reasons why I like the sport so much.
Yeah.
So you went into the British Championship in St Andre 3 years ago. Yeah. Would it be?
I think I did terribly as well. I really enjoyed it because you have.
Yeah, so to me, right, from the outside, and I have never participated in a competition. I've thought about it last year, but it didn't end up happening, and this year I didn't have any chance. But to me, when I think British Championship, it seems pretty serious. Does it sound like I have the wrong idea? Because I
think it feels, especially when you're going in from nothing, just going in for cross country, it feels very serious.
Okay.
Because I've not really flown with, I think it's 120 pilots in the Brits. Never flown
with a lot of traffic.
Exactly, there's a lot of traffic, and that's a lot to process when you're flying. A lot of your bandwidth is usually, when you're flying in cross country, is where's the next climb, where am I going, what am I doing? With this, it's like, fuck, I need to avoid.
Is it like driving on the motorway sort of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's kind of doing all this, and if there's not great etiquette or people aren't kind of letting you in or anything like this, it can get really quite crowded. So I think going from nothing to that was my main thing, just being able to fly with 120 pilots. And the results weren't in my mind at all. So I was kind of just like trying to get the top of the climbs, following everybody else, and most of the time I was probably landing. I think that year was pretty brutal. I think even the two liners had a bit of a...
As in not getting to go.
Exactly, it was a bit windy. Some of my flights, scariest flights, have definitely been there on that metaphor. Yeah. It's So that was my introduction. But I always enjoyed it, because even when you get down to the ground and everyone's talking about their flights, what they could have done better, like feedback, and it's really nice just to be with all those people.
So that was your first practice run. Would you say that you get the passion, enjoyment from competitions from there, and then that's why you went for the next one? Oh.
I think so, yeah. I'm probably the people, because I remember hanging around with, I was such a weedy little kid back then. I definitely changed a lot since being 16, but I can remember hanging around with, I think Laurie was there. I think I met Juan Sebastian Espina.
Yeah.
My number Juan. I met him for the first time. He was really nice. I just wanted to get to know these guys a little bit better and fly with them. That was my motivation as well.
So, obviously you've done quite a few competitions since then. One that comes to mind was the one before this one, which is the PWC, or...
The one before the Euros was the super final, the BBC super final. Yeah.
Which I still don't really know how that works.
Okay.
But that was in... Where was that?
Colombia.
In Colombia.
Yeah.
How did you find that? Because from what I was following, you ended up with a pretty good result.
Yeah.
And more impressively, at least to me, at the top of the British team with some really, really good pilots.
Yeah.
So how was that one?
I think that one was the first time where I've kind of started to put everything from like the teachings from the BPRA, British Racing Paragliding Academy, and like everything that Russ, Guy, and everyone, like the gurus, like the Sky Gods, had to say, and put it all together into one, and kind of fly with that in mind. So not pushing too hard, just staying as relaxed as possible, kind of making as little decisions as possible. So kind of, if you're a bit higher and a bit behind, you can kind of see what's going on, what the air is doing, and then you can kind of choose which way is the best line. Yeah. So I think that's the first time I've been able to just forget about where am I going to end up. Am I going to be like top 30 or top 15 or top 50? Yeah. I just went in it and tried to have as much fun as possible and not worry about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So doing quite well on that one, did that make you change your perspective on how to approach this one on the European Championships, or are you still pretty much, you're obviously happy that you did well, but do you try to kind of keep that to the side and just focus on having fun on the next one, sort of thing?
Yeah, I think it's just having a successful comp and that's it. It's just like, it was really fun at the time, and I don't think I want to change the way I'm doing anything just because it didn't feel, but it felt super fun that time, so if I do it again, hopefully it's going to feel fun again.
Yeah. So then, how does one get into the European Championship?
I think it depends entirely about what country you're from.
Okay. So if you're in a really competitive, if you're in a country with lots of good pilots, it's harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's an allotted amount of pilots per country.
But there's actually a lot of the countries have different selection processes.
Okay.
So in the Brits, we have, it's based on world ranking points. So you've all, I think, I'm not too sure how it works. If you start doing competitions, you get a CBIL number, and all your competition results are recorded.
Okay.
And I think it's your last 4 flights are up there, and they're your best last 4 flights in the year. And so if you have a good result, I can't really remember how it works, but if you have good world ranking points, you can get into the British team. And I think, I can't remember the ratios between how many, because they have a certain amount of places for one gender and a certain amount of places for another. But it's not like, I can't remember now. It's not like 4 guys and 2 girls. It could be 4 girls and 2 guys. It just has to be a minimum kind of thing going on. It's actually, the Euros and the Worlds have a really fair system.
Okay.
Of like gender equality kind of thing going on.
That's cool. Yeah, I think I get more often fascinated by girl pilots than men pilots because they tend, I don't know, I find them more balanced. Yeah. In terms of, I don't know why. I know. Mentally is what I mean. More balanced between enjoying it, making safe decisions, etc. Sure. So I really think that the sport has everything to gain by being balanced in terms of gender, even though we're massively skewed to men at the moment. So I think girls have a lot to give to sport. So that's cool to hear. And that's something I really want. I really want more people in the sport, but we need a lot more girls competing. Because at the moment it's quite easy to get into competitions if you're a girl. I think just because there's so few around, it makes it like you can get into a high level comp if you're maybe a bit less experienced, which is awesome because we want people to get into the comps and have the experience, get better and better, and because it might not be for everyone, and there's I'd say the vast majority of people don't win because there's one winner and everyone else is not a winner. Exactly. But everyone seems to say that's a really good experience to take away, regardless of if you want to carry on with competitions or not. So, yeah.
But sorry.
So no, carry on.
The French are it. The French and the Swiss. So there's Meryl de Ferreira, I think her name is. She's an insane pilot. She's really good, man. She came 10th in the super final. Overall, it's not just.
I think I remember. Yeah, I think I remember seeing that result.
Yeah, not just the women's rankings. It's the overall she is crazy good, and so is Swiss pilot at Yale. I think she came 3rd in the Euros. She's really good too, and Seiko.
Yeah,
Seiko is just
the boss.
The boss. Exactly. You see her in the film, you know exactly who she is. She's just all the way at the top.
Speaking of team and people, it just seemed, at least from what I've seen on social media, that you guys, with the British team, were having a great time. As a group, what do you have to say about those people? What do you have to say about the structure and the camaraderie that seems to be going on? That seems great to me from an outsider's perspective. Yeah,
I think the Brits are quite good at getting close. We're always talking about seeing, not
Boros castable stuff, but it's fun when you're in a group, right?
Yeah, exactly. So everyone's involved. So you've got, in this time we had Martin Long, Andrew Williams, Jules Robinson, Idris, and Marlon Lobb. I'm not getting any. And Jess Cox, yeah. And we all came together and we all had a really good time. We were doing yoga on the launch.
I saw that. I was saying to Gemma, they're doing yoga on launch, this is awesome, we should do the same.
That gets you in a really good headspace,
Yeah.
And like your body's all relaxed, you've just done a lot of stretching.
Doing what Marlon always says, just sit into your harness.
Yeah, exactly. Just being all zenned out. It was really nice. And Marlon actually led a bit of meditation. Yeah. That was cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally we get to the subject that we're here to talk about, the competition. So you're in the right headspace, you've done your homework, you're in a great team, and in a great place in Portugal, which is actually really close to where my family's from, in Montalegre. It was actually really funny to see all the updates from the because I'm on the Portuguese Facebook group of flying around the country, this kid is awesome and all of this. So I'm sure they'll be happy to see this interview. So it was quite, from what I've seen before, there was a lot of tasks. It was quite a long competition. Yeah. How give me your recount of how it went then, and how the memorable moments from it.
So I think it's a 10-day comp. I think the first day was actually cancelled because it was a bit windy or rainy or something. I was a bit ill to start off with. I had a bit of a cold, so it was a bit hazy. The first task was actually really fun. We took off to the north side, did a few beats across the we had a few turn points across the launch, and then we went across and then downwind along this huge convergence, and it was really big. You look at it and you think, fuck, are we going under that? So we got there. We're all pushing full bar into this big patch of shade because you've got 2 winds coming up and it's kind of a big patch of shade. And there are these tendrils hanging down, and you realise, Marlon was saying, you realise how fast you go because you're going through. Well, you go full bar, and then there's this tendril, you just smash through it. Yeah. And it's a really cool feeling when you're around cloud and
you get bits coming through.
And you're just like, wow, this is awesome. Smash it through it. So that one was really good up to that point, and then the convergence just seemed to stop pumping. Everyone kind of dived for a sunny patch. Quite a few of them made it. I made a bit of a rubbish decision and went kind of more into the shady patch, where some people were kind of climbing up. Me and Idris just missed out. So quite a few of the British team landed that day. I don't think we actually got one scorer in goal. Okay. Which sucked. But we got Martin Long. He got in goal. Just wasn't a scorer. Okay. But the rest of the competition got in. I think it was about 80 pilots. It's pretty good task. So that day I felt like we were flying quite well. We're all on the radio telling each other what's going on, where we are. But I didn't find I was doing too well until after halfway. Even though had my best results in task 2 and 3. I think I came second in task 2 with Ono, just pushing on a little.
Yeah.
No, he got better lead out points or something.
Yeah.
He came first, I came second. And then task 3, I think I came second into goal, but I came 4th overall with all the leading.
Yeah. With a crazy scoring system.
It's not good. It's fair.
Yeah, it's just complicated to explain, is what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So after that, I felt like I was really rusty. I've not really flown a huge amount since I went to the super final. So just getting back into comp flying and thermaling again. I felt like I was learning again. After those few tasks, I really got my head into it. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up getting really ill. Yeah,
so I saw it. Is this like water or something? I thought the water in Portugal was pretty good.
No, so actually, first day I bought a big bottle, like 5 litre bottle from the supermarket, and then we just found this amazing spring right next to our hotel. Yeah. So I was just filling my water bottle from there every day, which was perfect because it tasted better than any water I've had before. Yeah. The one time that it wasn't good, I'd drunk all my water in flight. I got back to HQ and I don't think the shops were open or something. We were going up to a restaurant to get some food. Mm-hmm. I found this like tap that was just running constantly.
Like a fountain sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of like thought it would be drinkable water. Yeah. Turns out I don't think it was.
Yeah, sometimes there's a sign, but obviously it's in Portuguese. It might be hard to get.
I must have missed it, but anyway, I filled my camel back up with it and drank from it, and then woke up at 5 a.m. the next day. I was just, it destroyed me, man. I was like, it was really not a good feeling. It felt like everything was trying to get out of me, one way or another. Yeah. I ended up lying got ready, got my wing all in the trucks, got everything ready to go up the hill, and I was just lying next to the toilets in HQ. Yeah. And one of the organisers came down and said, "Oh, you okay?" It's not a normal place to be. Yeah. My name was Valentina, and she's a god, and she helped me out, got my team over. Jess Cox said, "I'll go to the hospital with him," and they she took me down. They stuck an IV in my arm. I was there for about an hour, and I was constantly texting the guys and Jess. Jess was there with me for a little bit. Then conditions got a little bit better, so I said, "You should go." Valentina, I drove up the hill. So I was getting live updates, like they've just set this task, but it's provisional because the winds are a bit strong, and that's killing me. So eventually I was like, I had to call the doctor down and say, "I really need to go." He let me out. He was like, we shouldn't really be letting you get. Well, he said, "It's your choice because we can't hold you here." So I said, "Okay, I'll do 5 more minutes of this IV drip thing."
Yeah, what were you getting through IV?
I think it was just I think there was one medicine one that I didn't really understand, and then the rest was I think it's just hydration. Yeah. The first one, he said, "You need to be careful if you do anything, because it's meant to make you sleepy."
Right. Yeah. It makes you drowsy.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know what was in that. I didn't really question it because you have these doctors and you just kind of trust that they're doing the right thing. Yeah. I got up to launch. I was feeling a lot better. I could actually keep water down, and had an Imodium to keep me all fucked up. Put the task in my phone. The task in my UDI has already been put in by the team members, which is awesome. I appreciate that.
Got you back.
Yeah, exactly. And then we all got ready, and then they cancelled it because the winds were too strong. Okay. It's perfect for me. Yeah. Because I managed to have like 18 hours sleep all the way into the next day and felt a lot better.
Yeah. Because usually with competitions, I take it that usually the winner is someone that consistently performs well. Yeah. So if you were to not do a task or do particularly badly in one of the tasks, that's probably a big dent in being able to do well in the competition. So it's a bit of a godsend there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guess FTB, the scoring system where it kind of drops 25% of your whole score over the length of the competition, that does help. So if you have like one really bad day, like we did in the first day, you can drop it if you have.
Okay, so if it's say 4 tasks, and you do really well on 3 of them, and you bomb out after 10k on one of them, then that won't count at all. If that was if that was average, it doesn't count. If this low, it also doesn't count. So you can discard it, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like a discard. It's a bit of wizardry I don't really understand, but yeah, I think it's kind of fair. Everyone's under the same conditions. So.
Yeah, rules are the same for everyone.
Exactly.
So after that, it sounds like the first day was quite tough, and then it kind of got progressively better. Then the hiccup with the health conditions.
Yeah.
And then there was like another 3 or 4 days left, and how did those go? Because then I suppose you really had to put in the results there to come out on top.
Yeah, it's true. They were insane. They were the best days. We're all the best tasks we had. They were these like cat and cradle things. So you had a small cylinder and then a bigger cylinder, and you kind of go like in and out kind of thing. And that really splits the groups up because. Usually if you've got like one course line, everyone's going down the middle and everyone's all condensed together and there's 150 people all fighting to get on top of the film. Mm-hmm. But if you've got kind of different routes, different lines to be taken, then it splits everyone up, which is a lot nicer to fly in. Yeah. So yeah, we had those and they were the really fast ones. Like if you picked the right gaggle, you'd be flying and watching everyone else like kind of get dropped into the back. That's awesome. The fast ones where you're all with the front gaggle, there's nothing like it, man. If you look back and you're like, in front, you're just among some of the best pilots in the world. Yeah,
I saw your picture on Instagram, kind of looking back, facing back and taking pictures and saying, I was in the front, didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, I really didn't. I don't really make that many decisions. I'm just, that's pretty much it. Just kind of using what I can see. Yeah. And then following the best lines. Yeah. So
come to the last few tasks, and you knew that you're doing quite well. I saw you placing maybe second, third, and then one day you were first, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!" Yeah. And then, but still a few tasks to go. How did you manage how you went about the tasks, and how did you feel flying those? Because I would expect that would be the place where usually a newer pilot would not do so well compared to an experienced pilot that's been there before and needs the calmness to not overdo it. To stay in front. So that, I think from an outsider's perspective, it was quite a mature performance, if you know what I mean, for someone that hasn't been flying comps very long. So how was your strategy, and how did you feel going through those last tasks?
It's quite funny because it didn't really make a difference when I was on the first day 90 something. And when I was first, I just knew that I had to carry on trying to be as consistent as possible. And eventually, if I can keep that up, then I knew that I was going to get a good result in the end. Just nothing changed. It really didn't have that much effect on me. Because in previous...
I was going to say that probably, I'm guessing here, but I'm guessing in your head as well, you don't strike me as the kind of person that would be upset if you got third. So yes, you were trying to do the best you can, but you wouldn't be upset to be second or third. So getting first is kind of like great, right? Like a positive thing, not like I didn't get first, I got second.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was at the end of the competition. I was thinking it would be really nice to be ending up in the top 10 because that's just it'd be quite a cool place to be. It's like you see the names and you see yours and like all these pilots around me. They're the best. But yeah. Up until right at the end, after I'd landed on the last task, it didn't really affect it. It affected my flying at all. I think that's going back to the super final when I kind of put into practice, not thinking about the result and just flying for fun. That was definitely just seeing how it can work. Kind of motivated me just to not really care about the results. Yeah. And I think it works for me. It might not work for everyone. People like pressure. Some people do, and people really thrive under it. But I'm not too sure I'm one of those people. Yeah. So it's just staying calm, relaxed, maintaining what you're doing the whole time. Yeah. Yeah.
So then you land on the last task near to where my nan lives.
Should have popped out.
Near the lake. Had a great time. And then you figured out on the way back. We were just talking before that. You came first. Yeah. And then obviously there was a lot of people happy and probably texting you and everything, but how did you feel then, and how do you feel now with a few days after? How was the whole thing? What's it like? What does it feel like to win Europeans?
Still not really still doesn't really feel that real. like winning a competition is a big deal for me. If you had said to me a year ago you're going to win the British champs, I'm not winning it. But if you said to me you're going to come first next year, I'd be like, come on, you need to lower your expectations a little bit. Just maybe top 10, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
And then to come to the Euros and get first is just insane, especially for me anyway. It just feels a bit ridiculous. So I don't think it's really sunk in properly. Yeah, I don't really know. It's really weird.
Yeah, not to make judgment, but I think you've got the right attitude for it, if you know what I mean. There's good losers and bad losers, and there's good winners and bad winners, and I think you're focusing on all the right things, so can't fault it, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. Anyway, what's next? What are you excited about? What are you going to try to do next? Competitions or otherwise, paragliding or otherwise? What excites you? What gets you up in the morning? Obviously having to come to work, but...
I want to do a bit more kind of tandem related stuff. Obviously you want to carry on doing the competitions because they're just like what I'm breathing for now at the moment. It's just so awesome. I'm enjoying it a lot. I want to get into maybe doing some tandems. Something like that.
So as well, like last year, we were flying more together, and I saw you were quite into acro as well. Is that probably something you want to go more into at some point, or? Yeah,
acro is really fun. So I did when I did about 2 weeks or something out in Turkey in Aldernez, and I borrowed Emily 18.
Yeah,
I accidentally dunked it in the sea. I'm sorry, Billy, for dumping your wing in the sea. I managed to learn the basics of helis, like spins and stuff. That was insane. Properly fun to be able to know how your wing works.
To put it in a bad place and know that you can bring it back.
Exactly, and that's why SIVs are awesome as well. But acro is kind of like SIV next level. It's like SIV plus. So you got it in parachute, so you're spinning it around, doing all this cool stuff, and learning how to work it. That's a really fun thing. So I think learning is really fun. If you're learning something that you're passionate about, it's good. A good laugh. Also, I think I really wanted to get into more hike and fly stuff. I think that's kind of where paragliding is going at the moment. There are lots of manufacturers making lighter weight stuff, and it's actually really good. So you've got the Ozone, the LM6. That's like a high performance wing, and it's also light. And you've got all these Corto harnesses, which are just crazy. And it has more of a physical aspect to it as well. So if you're like quite an athletic person that likes going out and pushing, then it's fun. And you have, access to places that otherwise you just couldn't go at all. With Gavin in Alaska and stuff, you just couldn't do it. So it's a good combination of exploration in general. Yeah, and you can do it anywhere. You can do it in the Peak District. You can climb up one of the hills, or walk from Sheffield to climb one of the hills, and then fly cross country. You've got your pack on your back. Or you can go to the Alps, and everything in the Alps is everything's close together. There's always a road going through somewhere. You're never going to land somewhere that's 3 days walk out. So I think it's kind of like the perfect place to learn, or have that kind of progression into that discipline. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, dude. Thanks. I wish you can do this again in the future, when we get into different things and more things happen, as they will, I'm sure. We literally just moved to Portugal, so you're more than welcome to come and see us and fly at the beach or in the mountains. I appreciate that. And super congratulations once again. You've probably heard that a lot. And I think that's it. Thanks. Cheers. So that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this sort of content and you want to support the channel, check out Patreon. And thank you to all these great people for supporting the channel on Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye.